Now, the last part about these things is looking at the issues of diarrhea. So let's say some things about diarrhea. First of all, invasive diarrhea, which some people are under the impression of calling executive diarrhea. I always like that. Diarrhea only of executives. Well, one, you get blood. And if it doesn't say blood, you're going to get white blood cells. That's Salmonella, Shigella, Yersinia, E. coli. Now, osmotic diarrhea. Osmotic diarrhea is things that are like, I know it sounds weird, but like mannitol or sugar or things that have high tonicity, exerting an osmotic draw, pulling fluid out of the body and into the GI tract. The most important thing for us about diarrhea is that we understand that diarrhea causes a metabolic acidosis. Why? Because the colon excretes bicarbonate. The colon excretes bicarbonate. And because the colon excretes bicarbonate, if your colon is overactive, you're going to get acidotic. Number two, even though there's an acidosis, you get a low potassium. Now, this is very important in terms of diarrhea, because if you had to know the most important thing about diarrhea, the two biggest things for you to know about diarrhea is invasive diarrheas cause blood and white cells, and diarrhea in general causes metabolic acidosis. Why? Because the colon excretes bicarbonate. Causes a hypokalemia. Why? Because the colon excretes potassium. Now, this is virtually unique in terms of potassium because almost every other form of metabolic acidosis is going to cause hyperkalemia because of transcellular shift. This causes hypokalemia because the colon is a potassium secreting organ. Last point, diarrhea has a normal anion gap because diarrhea has a high chloride level. Although the bicarb in the blood may go down, the chloride level goes up. That keeps the anion gap normal. The two main causes of a metabolic acidosis with a normal anion gap. Normal anion gap are diarrhea and renal tubular acidosis. The two main causes of metabolic acidosis with a normal anion gap are diarrhea and renal tubular acidosis because they both have a high chloride. Diarrhea, invasive diarrheas have blood, have white cells in the stool, and can give a fever. Diarrhea causes a metabolic acidosis, but has a low potassium because the colon secretes potassium. Diarrhea has a normal anion gap because the chloride level is high in the blood. That's the most important things for us to know about diarrhea. Is there blood? And to replace potassium. And there's a normal anion gap. Welcome to diarrhea. Now you really know your beep. That's it for GI physiology. I'll see you in the next section.